Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Today we're diving into a pretty interesting piece of source material. It's an excerpt, right, from a YouTube video transcript.
That's right. And it shows former President Trump responding to a reporter.
And the question, this is the core of it, it's about Sean Diddy Combs.
Yeah, specifically the phrase used was very serious legal trouble.
Okay, and what makes this interesting, based on the source, is how the reporter sets it up.
How so?
Well, they bring up something from way back in 2012.
Ah, okay.
They mention that apparently the former president called Diddy a good friend back then.
Right, establishing that past connection.
Exactly. And then they ask about a potential pardon given the current trouble.
Okay, so that's the setup. So our goal here for you listening is really just to unpack this specific exchange.
Yeah, just what's in the transcript. We're looking at Trump's response.
How he talks about Diddy now, that past relationship, and crucially, the pardon question.
So let's pull out some key things we notice in the text. First off, he does acknowledge the trouble Diddy's in.
He says that's true when asked about the legal stuff. And he notes the media coverage, says it's certainly getting a lot of coverage.
So awareness is there, but then he pivots pretty quickly, doesn't he?
He does, straight to clarifying the current situation between them.
Saying he hasn't seen him, hasn't spoken to him.
In years, that's the word used.
Which is, well, a direct contrast to the good friend idea the reporter brought up from 2012.
And this is where I think the transcript gets really specific. He offers his own explanation for why things changed.
Right. He talks about that past relationship where he says, Diddy used to really like me a lot. His words.
And then says it sort of busted up.
Busted up, yeah. And the reason he gives...
Politics. His entry into politics.
He mentions reading things, a little bit nasty statements he says Diddy made.
After he ran for office. So he's directly linking the change in their relationship to his political career.
Yeah, and he kind of extends on that, drawing this contrast.
Between what?
Between, like, running for politics to do what's right for the country versus, well, popularity.
Okay. He says it's not a popularity contest.
Right. And that entering politics makes you a much different person. That's the quote.
Implying, I guess, a shift away from maybe earlier priorities, like entertainment or real estate connections.
Seems like it. And all this explanation about the relationship changing leads right into his answer about the pardon.
Which is very direct in the transcript.
He says point blank, nobody's asked for a pardon. Not yet, anyway.
But, and this is an interesting addition in the text, he does say he knows people are thinking about it.
Even says people have been very close to asking.
So the idea is out there, according to him, even if no formal request has landed on his desk at that moment.
And then he lays out his process. Like if someone asks, what would he do?
Right. He says he'd certainly look at the facts. That's the criteria mentioned.
To see if the person was mistreated.
And what's really notable, I think, from the source material here is he explicitly states something about personal feelings.
What's that?
He says whether the person likes him or not wouldn't have any impact.
So the decision, he claims, would be based on the facts and potential mistreatment, not personal loyalty.
That's what the transcript states his position would be.
Okay, so let's just recap this interaction from the source. Reporter links past friendship, asks about present trouble, and a pardon.
And the response covers, well, his view that the friendship dissolved because of politics.
Acknowledges the trouble, says no pardon's been asked for.
But outlines those conditions for considering one if it were. Check the facts, look for mistreatment.
So just based purely on this transcript we've walked through, here's something maybe to think about.
Okay.
Consider that idea presented in the exchange, how relationships, even ones described as close friendships, might change drastically.
Might even bust up, as the transcript puts it.
Exactly. When one person steps into the political arena, maybe chooses a different path or focus than they had before, just something to mull over from the source itself.